The Mobile World Congress kicking off in Spain today. The integration of generative AI in devices, a big focus in Barcelona. For more on what consumers can expect, let's bring in Nabila Popal, IDC Research Director of Consumer Devices, to break it all down. Nabila, good to talk to you today. We got a bit of a preview on what that experience is going to look like with AI in devices at CES earlier this year. What are the big headlines you're expecting out of Barcelona this week?
So, certainly, as you've all heard, no surprise, right? AI is the big buzzword. 5 years ago, it was 5G, and before that, digital transformation. But this year, it's all about AI. AI everywhere, AI in devices, AI in PCs, and certainly in Barcelona, AI in smartphones. So as of now, we're seeing across the board, all vendors, OEMs, and industry players really push the AI agenda. We've seen launch from Honor yesterday, which was really humming this AI message with their new Magic 6 Pro series, as well as their foldable phone. So and that's another segment that we expect to be booming. So certainly this year we are expecting AI devices or generative AI right on device to boom in the industry, ramping up to about 170 million devices for this year.
You mentioned Honor is one that has sort of unveiled their device. We, of course, have seen Samsung launch their AI device. Fundamentally, what has changed in terms of the smartphone experience right now as it stands as a result of that technology?
Sure, and that's you bring up a great point, because it's so confusing, right? There's AI, then there's generative AI, and then there's next gen AI on device. So what does it all mean really at the end for the consumer? Because when you get into the technicalities of things, it can get confusing, right? Like AI or generative AI on device must have large language models or must have stable diffusion and yada, yada, yada. But what does that really mean for the consumer? And I think if we want to hone down on what is the difference. So what is the difference from how AI has been a part of smartphones for a decade, honestly, until now, to what's happening today, right? What is the new, the craze that's whether it was what Samsung announced, earlier this year, or now that's going to be announced for the rest of the year. So what is the real
specifically on Gen AI, though? What's the difference?
Exactly. And so that's the word that we want to focus on. So if generative AI is, and then on device. So generative means it's not just smart or intelligent, but it can generate things. So it can create, whether it's, summarizing our tons of work emails or our family group chats. I mean, just giving some consumer, examples, right? That consumers can understand. And also more recently, stuff like the magic eraser, like removing things from pictures or generating new pictures. It's things like this. They're still very early. The use cases have yet to be, developed, where that's really going to create that mass consumption and run to, purchase the new AI device, right? So that's what we're really waiting for. The smartphone industry is already at the cusp of recovery, but the question is, are these AI devices really going to cause that next wave of super cycle, refresh? Are they going to lead the boom and or rather the recovery, right? But the answer to that is it's really not in number. They're still gonna make up probably about 15% of the smartphone market this year, with that 170 million number that forecast that I threw out earlier. So are they really going to take off? And to some degree, it's really because they're going to be.
What does that target look like? What does that target look like if it's not this cycle? With the devices that are being unveiled this year, when does that upgrade cycle really take off? And what are the brands that are best positioned?
So, I would start with, honestly, like every single flagship launch this year and probably for the years to come is going to incorporate some element of AI experience, AI features. Right now, we would say all the flagship coming out of all the brands we saw starting with Samsung this year. Samsung certainly in a great position right now, and all the Android players as well. Apple also pushed the message a bit toward the end of their earnings, although they haven't really marketed anything with the AI message yet. But we're eager to see what Apple comes out with the end of this year. But as of now, really the Android players, starting with Samsung and then Honor. Xiaomi also had an event today, although they didn't really drum the AI message too much. They focus more on camera specs, which is also a leading attribute that consumers are seeking and premium features, right? Premium part of the market is growing. So we do see numbers taking off, but it's really also because AI is really going to be embedded in the premium part of the market, which has been growing significantly. So it's really a matter of when those AI features become mainstream that they will create that. We don't see that happening. When the AI will become out of flagships into the mainstream devices, I think we're still a few years out.
Nabila Popal, IDC Research Director of Consumer Devices. Good to talk to you today. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much.